Good evening, everybody, and thank you for joining me for this video. Joe here with Tool Gun and Armory, and in today's video we're going to be covering a ton of stuff. It's going to seem like I'm going fast. I am on a time constraint because this is an SDI assignment, FTE 217. It is October 5th, 2025, about 6 p.m. That being said, the first part of this video is going to be functions checks, both dry and with a dummy round, and what you're looking for in the event of functions check live fire. So without further ado, first thing you always do is make sure the workspace is clear. So lock the bolt to the rear, visually and physically ensure that the chamber is clear, no feed source in the rifle. This is a dummy round sent to me by the school. Now that we're clear, I'm gonna go ahead and send the bolt home and attempt to shoot while it's on safe. It does not. We're going to switch it to fire and attempt to shoot. We're going to test the reset. So holding the trigger, cycling the bolt, solid reset. Basically a simulated drop test. You're just hammering around on the action a little bit, trying to jar things loose and see where you end up when it comes to shooting. It is on safe. Attempt to fire does nothing. Switch it to fire and it fires. Reset. Now you're going to do the other one a few inches from the deck. Simulate dropping it. It's on safe. Does not fire. Switch it to fire and it fires. So we are good there. Now with the bolt sent home, testing the takedown, you should be able to do this part by hand. And once it's taken down like this, you can test the forward assist. Bringing the forward assist to, or bringing the bolt right back to where it's supposed to go, right before it locks. You press the forward assist and the bolt should move the rest of the way forward. Check with dummy rounds. Now, functions checked with dummy rounds, you're looking for, first off, the magazine test. Does it seat? Does the mag catch and release work with a drop-free test? Is it caught? Can I jar it out? Can I jar it loose? And then will it feed once I jar it? Now you are looking at cycling. Obviously this is a dummy round, so you have to manually cycle it, but you're looking for that proper extraction and ejection, and for the bolt to be locked to the rear because there are no other rounds in the mag. Just like that, and just like that. Bolt is locked to the rear because the magazine is empty, and put it back on safe. Go ahead and send that home, and that's that. What I would be looking for live firing is all of that manual stuff automated. More item-specific stuff to the cycle of operations. Assessing the feel of the trigger pull and whether I view it's good or bad, and why. So, most mil-spec triggers are between 5.5 and 9.5 pound trigger pulls. This definitely feels more in the 6 pound range. I have several firearms that have a 9 pound pull, and I do not like them. This doesn't feel anything like that. So that being said, this has no real play in it. Once you start pulling it, it's operating, and once it's pulled, you have a little bit of play because it hasn't been reset. But once it's been reset, there's no play. I will say that while I like a heavier trigger on higher caliber firearms when I'm shooting, there are triggers for whatever you are trying to do, whatever setup you are trying to make, whether it be super light because you're trying to send as many rounds downrange as possible, or whether you're trying to line up your shots and just, you know, make more precise shots. On the 308 platform, the mil spec's perfectly fine for me. On the AR15 platform, I prefer something a little bit lighter because my rate of fire is going to be faster. Typically I use a 3.5 pound pull on all of my AR-15 builds, and you barely have to even touch it. And because you barely even have to touch it, personally, I don't like going anything sub 3 pounds because that's already light enough for anything that I'm ever going to need it for. The firing pin protrusion, which is how far that firing pin protrudes out of the bolt face. So to do this, you need an outside micrometer and you need a firing pin protrusion gauge, and holding the firing pin in place and ensuring the bolt face is in the rear position, you're going to press the loosened gauge into the bolt into the firing pin itself, and it's going to protrude that center channel rod out of there. And while you're doing that, you tighten it into place, and then you measure it on here. You will need to have gotten a baseline for this protrusion gauge. In this case, it was 0.629. So when I measured this earlier, with that center rod extended, it measured 0.676, which is a difference of 0.035 inches. Now for Headspace, what you're going to do is you're going to prep your bolt in a way that you're basically removing the ejector and extractor and all their pins, and then reassembling your bolt carrier group. Now once you do this, you're going to be inserting your bolt carrier group with either your go or no-go gauge, your headspace and timing. For some reason, I'm not able to get these specific gauges to lock in place, so I just manually chambered them, and the go gauge should be flush, which it is, and then replacing it with the no-go gauge and doing the exact same thing, and the bolt carrier won't be flush with the back, and so therefore it's not going to be able to even get put back together with the bottom. To measure your barrel. Now, to measure your barrel, you need the bolt carrier group forward in the locked position, and then you need to remove any muzzle device you may have on the end because they don't count towards the barrel's length. With that being said, then you take a cleaning rod and carefully, making sure not to damage the muzzle, send it down until it bottoms out against that bolt face. And when it bottoms out against that bolt face, you take and marks everything pencil, and you just put a quick mark on the rod and carefully pull it back out. Now, once it's pulled out, all you need to do is take a tape measure and measure the inserted portion, like so. And we are looking at 18 and 3/8 of an inch. So for the last step, you're going to take that same cleaning rod and we're going to measure barrel twist rate. Putting a cotton swab at one end and a flag next to your handle, you're going to insert it into the bore until it engages that rifling. Once it engages that rifling, you're going to mark where it's at, and then slowly push it down the bore until it makes one full turn, and then you're going to mark it again. And once you mark it again, you take the cleaning swab off of the one end, and then you pull it back out to measure between the two. The measurement between the two is 1 in 10. So one full rotation every 10 inches of barrel length, and we come up with a 1 in 10 twist rate. That being said, thank you for joining me for this video. If you've learned anything or have any questions, let me know down in the comments. I'll see you next time.